I hope you're well. Thanks for tuning in here. BBC Radio Somerset is the 15th of May today, a Wednesday. Now, you might remember yesterday, if you're listening in, we heard about an 89-year-old red phone box, affectionately called Delilah, which we enjoyed, that's been saved from demolition in Castle Carey. The residents in the town are raising money to fix her up. She looks like she could use a lick of paint, among a few other things. And they want to use her as a place where and we are referring to her as as a place where the town can showcase different local talents, charities, community projects, things like that in there. Laura Lever is heading up the renovation.
So for me, the most important thing is, number one, that she stays in our town and that she remains an asset to our community. She is of extraordinary historical and architectural value. She is actually a 1935 genuine K6 Giles Gilbert Scott telephone box, and has every single one of her pieces of glazing intact apart from one. So she really deserves some TLC.
Well, someone else who is very passionate about these sorts of phone boxes is Paul Bottomley, who named his K6 project after these models of the famous red phone box. He travels the length and breadth of the country, picturing all of them on his website. He's recently been in Somerset and has taken a look at some of our best ones. Paul, good morning. Lovely to speak to you. I stumbled across your website yesterday and thought that you were the man to speak to, probably the world-leading expert on these things. Do you reckon that's fair?
I wouldn't deny that, but at the same point, there are other people doing the same sorts of things.
Well, I was very impressed by your website and a number of phone boxes you visited. How many are there in total? Do you know a number for the whole country?
I think it's about 10,000.
Wow. Goodness me. Did you realise that when you started trying to collect them all?
No, I was very naive. I thought there was probably 1,000 or so.
Wow, so 10 times that amount. Amazing to think there are still that many around, really. Now, I've seen that last week you were in Castle Carey. Is that right? You saw the two there. So how do you feel about Delilah,
I did.
who's being saved?
Yes, I did, with a nice blue bow around it.
Yeah, and how do you feel now that's being saved? Are you seeing a lot of that kind of thing going on?
Yeah, there are quite a lot of boxes where local communities, parish councils are adopting them and trying to make the best of them, nice paint job, as was discussed, and put into some very novel uses. So I think it's fantastic.
The person we heard from there who's trying to save her was referring to it as a she. Is that quite common? Do you refer to them as she or her?
No, not personally. I haven't quite got that deep into it, shall we say.
Yeah, fair enough. So that's the news about Castle Carey. I want to hear about your trips there. Why did you decide to do it in the first place?
Gosh, I think I was in the north of Scotland many years ago, and I saw a telephone box just in the middle of nowhere, and I just being nosy, I thought I'd go and have a look, and it had some books in it, and it was the first sort of book exchange usage of a phone box I've ever seen, and I kind of bookmarked it, and then 2019, I thought I needed to set myself a bit of a personal challenge. I thought, I'll go and visit all the local boxes in Warwickshire, because that box in Scotland had reminded me. And I kind of got hooked from there. A bit of social history. I love, sort of driving around and looking at all the little villages and that. So it is just sort of spurred from there.
You must have a fantastic knowledge of well, I was going to say England there, but Scotland obviously as well, across the whole country of these sorts of places, villages that you probably never, ever would have gone to without this hobby. Tell us about some of the ones in Somerset.
I mean, as you noted, I started Somerset about a month or so ago, and I've done 4 or 5 trips into Somerset now, and I have done mainly sort of central and eastern Somerset. I'm yet to sort of stray the other side of the M5. But it's a nice county. I'm impressed with it. I've noticed that it's a little bit like Wiltshire in the east, geographically, and, sort of nice villages. And as I've got into sort of central Somerset, it's become really oldie, weldy and very rural. And it's just been nice. And we've had some nice weather recently. So, yeah, it's been a joy to do Somerset at the moment. Obviously, still got loads more to do.
Yeah, I was having a look at your map. You've got a very detailed map of where you have been and where you're yet to go. You're yet to get onto Exmoor. Well, it's very beautiful up there, I can assure you. I would say bring your walking boots there, because it can be very steep around there. So tell it, you've got a couple. We asked you to sort of come up with a few that you really like in Somerset. So which ones came to mind?
Oh, well, there was an unusual one was in South Lees, which is Street Somerset. It's not actually a K6, it's a K8, which is a slightly more modern version of the box that you've got in Castle Carey. And the only reason I like that one is because it's particularly rare, more than anything. It's very difficult sometimes to pin the tail on the donkey of exactly which is the nicest box. I think it all goes with the weather and the feeling at the time, sort of thing. I find it almost impossible to pin my favourite box down for a particular day type of thing. But that one stood out to me as a very, very rare box in Somerset. There's probably only 60 or 80 of those in the country.
Oh, so, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Out of 10,000? Wow.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the K8s are particularly rare, and it's got a listed status against it. So at least it's got some sort of a protection for itself,
Lovely stuff. Oh, brilliant. So you kind of do it bit by bit in the country. You said you've done a few trips into Somerset recently. Presumably you'll finish off the western parts of the county at some point. Where's next on the list? Where haven't you been yet?
Oh, well, okay. I was planning on coming back and doing all of the Exmoor and coastal Minehead areas this week, but something's popped up that's going to delay that. So it's going to be July now before I get back to Somerset, because I'm spending the whole of June in Scotland this year.
Following your hobby, of course.
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah. I'm going to try and get central Scotland knocked off this year type of thing. So many days and many hours and many hundreds of miles driving.
Wow. And do you have a sort of an end date in mind? When do you think you might have completed all of them?
I'm hopeful within the next 3 years.
Three more years. And how long did you say you've been doing it for?
Since 2019. So I'm 5 years in now.
Yeah, so about 8 years in total, maybe, to go and see all 10,000. How will you feel when you tick off whatever the final number is, 10,000-ish? How will you feel when you've done them all?
Oh, well, there's an in-joke, because now I have to start it all over again and take pictures at night when they're illuminated.
Oh, no. Oh, of course, yeah. So then you just have to, it becomes a nighttime hobby. People might look at you a bit funny if you start turning up at phone boxes, taking pictures of them at night now. I think, I don't know whether that might get some raised eyebrows, maybe.
But perhaps, yes.
Yeah. Paul, it's absolutely great speaking to you. I think there'll be people listening who would love to take a look at your website, because there's not just one picture of each one. There are dozens of pictures of each box. You put the full details of where they are, what sort of phone box they are, all that kind of stuff. Can you just remind us of the address, how people get onto your website?
Yeah, sure. It's the k6project.co.uk.
Lovely stuff. Well, look, we wish you all the best. We hope you enjoy your trip to Minehead and Exmoor and all that part of the county when you come here in July. Best of luck with it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Paul. Lovely to speak to Paul Bottomley there. Travels the UK. Recently been in Somerset, seeing some of the old red phone boxes. If you go on his website, it is all categorised. It's such a nice, neat website. If you click on the Somerset bit on the left-hand side, you'll see a list, and you can click on those, take a flick through all the pictures. So maybe you've got a phone box that you used to call up old boyfriends of, sneak out the house,